Alrighty, Pretender here, back with another Honkai Style Guide. Today I'm here with the Realm of the Strange guide of what you should be farming with the double drops for relics. As you do see, Realm of the Strange is going to be active. It has the time right here. As you are watching this video, this is active on Asia and Europe servers, but there is another hour until it is out on NA. So again, Asia, Europe people, you guys can watch this and use it for the guide of what's out right now. Unless you've already used it, then you'd wait for the next day. And then for people in NA, can watch this guide just so you know how to go about it. And yep, that's all I gotta say. Before I get to the video, drop a like, drop a sub, hit the bell icon for more videos like this, and let's get straight into the video. So now, as there is a lot of options you can use and a lot of different ones being good for other things, the main goal is you want to do a cavern that has 2 relic sets that can be beneficial. So let's say you're someone that has some follow-up characters and dock characters that need better pieces, or you're looking to build, then something like this one would be great because this has the follow-up set, which is good for practically almost every follow-up character, minus a few, like the 4-piece not being that good for someone like Ratio, it not being that good on Aventurine and all that stuff, and then the dot being the best stuff for the dock characters. Something to get the best bang for your buck would be the play. But enough about that. The thing you do want to mainly look at is if you are mainly interested in building your current characters, or are you looking to build future characters. So just to knock out the future characters out the way, Yunli is going to be best with this Cavern Corrosion right here. This set right here, the Windsoaring set, is going to be your best in slot, so you definitely want to make sure you go out and get these if you're interested in summoning for her. And then for Xiaochu, the best thing you want to do is the dot set, which this is also a very good option. Both of these are very good options. The second one, or I guess I should say the one for Yunli, can be a bit situational because if you don't have someone like Jui or Boothill or Firefly, then this isn't worth too much to you, but then you're farming this one, so it kind of becomes a 50-50, but you could save future pieces for other break characters because I'm sure eventually there's going to be another character that can use the set. And if not, then you have the 2-piece, which could be used on someone as well. So there's a few options with this, but mainly farming this one for your Yunli. And then with Xiaochu, as I mentioned, as the sort of baseline, you do also have the follow-up set. So you're getting the dot set for your Xiaochu and potentially other characters. And you'd also be getting this for other follow-up characters you might want better pieces for, such as Topaz, Jade, those kind of characters. Or if you just don't have any pieces on them, you can potentially get some there. But once again, as I mentioned, the best way is to go for 2 sets that will be very beneficial. So if you don't have any other follow-up characters, or maybe you're, I guess another thing is if you're not too sure about Yunli or Xiaochu, or if you don't want to get like something super crazy for them, or you just want to kind of get a baseline, then it becomes a bit less valuable because, as we do know, it is double drops relics, but it is double the garbage. So it's best to just maximize what you need most. And now, if you're more interested in the 2.5 characters being Fei Xiao, Linksha, and Moze or Moze, the problem with them is we don't really know anything about them, so I would definitely avoid farming their stuff right now. I would definitely wait until we do have info about what they do, then go ahead and farm about them, because it would just be iffy if you farm something and let's say you follow some old news and then you realize, oh, okay, so I should build Fei Xiao with the follow-up set because of follow-ups, and then it turns out the kid's difference is like an HP scaling dot character or something. That's just an example, I'm not saying that's what it is. So again, I would definitely avoid that, but if you really have nothing else and you want to get one that is probably going to be most safe, you'd mainly look at their elements, so Moze or Moze being lightning, Fei Xiao being wind. DPS wise, you would just get the 2 pieces, so you'd have 2-piece wind right here. That would probably be fine. And then for other dude, you would just do 2-piece lightning just to be safe, and then you pair that with something like Musketeers, or what are the other dot sets for the attack percent, or also the Windsoaring set because it does the same thing as well. That's the safest bet, and you'd probably just be able to get this to get usable pieces while there might be potentially new pieces. But yeah, that's pretty much all I want to talk about that for. But now, again, it mainly depends on you. You definitely want to look at your box and see what you need most of. So assuming you're not going for Xiaochu or Yunli, it mainly just comes down to 1, finishing characters that you want to finish that might be very beneficial to you in the modes, such as an MLC for your 2 main teams, your Pure Fiction teams, and now your Apocalyptic Shadow teams. You definitely want to make sure you do have your core teams getting to have good builds. Just because if they don't have good builds, you probably can't get a good score clear. So it's best to focus on those. And so some crazy characters you can focus on is someone like Acheron, because Acheron's just good on all 3 modes. So the debuff set being her best in slot is a good one to focus on, and since this is also paired with the Watchmaker set, which is really good for Harmony Trailblazer, since Harmony Trailblazer is pretty universal with the Super Break, and has a lot of use. Maybe you can also get some pieces for that, so you're also getting a double win right here. And not only that, the debuff set is good for so many characters. Practically any DPS that can inflict a debuff, you pair them with another debuffer, and this becomes the best in slot because of how good it is when you do have 3 debuffs, and you get the aforementioned effective increase. Once all that's active, this becomes one of the best relic sets in the game. So it's not only benefiting your Acheron, it also benefits multiple characters. So you'd also want to look at your box and maybe see if there are multiple characters that could benefit from a single relic set. Like I mentioned, there's a bunch of dog characters, so you can get better pieces for your Kafka, Black Swan, Gwen, all those kind of characters, while also getting fob sets. So if you do have dog characters and fob characters, you benefit most from this. And that's sort of how you want to just go about your farming. That's how you sort of optimize it. But let's just go by each cavern one by one and say why I would recommend or go against it, I should say. So for the first one, this one I don't really recommend because there isn't really many characters that use the 4-piece either of this. You can do something like the 4-piece of this on Pela. There are some times you could use this, but it's not really worth going after one. And with the 4-piece of the ice set, that's only really on like 1 or 2 characters. So overall, this first one I would definitely not recommend doing. This one as well, I wouldn't really recommend this because physical, it is a good set on some characters. From mainly physical characters, besides Boothill, then it's not really that great for Boothill. But the other physical characters, it could be benefit, but it is accompanied by the Thief set, and there's practically no reason to farm this. Outside of the 2-piece, because if there is a break character with the 3 I mentioned, you're better off just going off and farming this one. I would not recommend farming this. Outgoing healing, you know, for your healers, nice, and then Musketeers 2-piece, nice, but this is just not one I'd recommend doing. This is also one that I honestly would... I'd say this one can be situational because reduced damage taken is used on some characters and it could be beneficial. And running 4-piece Quantum on a lot of characters can become a meta thing when they are especially weak to Quantum, and then if you're running a Quantum character, it becomes even better. So this is also a situational thing, so if you do have characters that benefit from both, then this becomes an option. But if you only have one from like the Quantum set, then I would definitely not recommend it. This one is practically for the same reason. The Lightning set, you don't really use the 4-piece much on most characters, but you can do the 2-piece stuff, and there are Lightning characters that benefit from it a lot. And then this would be good on your sustains, mainly Aventurine or Jeopardous if you have one of those two as your sustains that you give it pieces. But again, just like this one, it becomes situational. This is also one I would not really recommend doing because for the most part, 4-piece fire is yikes. And the Imaginary set, while it is good, for the most part, Imaginary characters have a better set they can use. So I would definitely go against farming this one. This cavern right here is also a option you can do that's actually going to be one of my most recommended because the max HP set is good for survivability on some of your sustains or supports, so that's a nice option right there. And if you have Blade, then the 4-piece becomes really good as well. But mainly for Hackerspace, 2-piece, 4-piece, very competent on supports, Sparkle, Bronya, all those kind of characters, it is very good. And as I mentioned, this 2-piece being really good for most sustains and supports are also very, very, very good. So you're getting a pretty good value bonus here. This cavern right here, another recommended one because follow-up characters, okay, I guess I should say it does depend if you have dot and follow-up characters. If you do have both, this becomes one of the most valuable ones because this can be the best in slot for a lot of follow-up characters or nearly the best ones. And then this is the best in slot for dot characters, so it's also another really good option. This is another situational one, but the value of this debuff set is so high at the point I would actually go ahead and recommend this one because for most characters I mentioned that can inflict a debuff, this does become one of the best ones. And then if you are running the Harmony Chill Wizard for any reason, Watchmaker becomes good, so it can be very good, but just on the sheer value of the debuff set alone, it's worth it. And then the final option, if you do have one of the 3 break characters, then this is a very, very, very good set to get because it actually just increases their damage by so much. And if you are going for Yunli, then this is a really good set to get as well. Sadly, outside of that, if you are going, or I should say skipping Yunli or not going for it, then the value of this set becomes absolute fodder. So if you are using this, or I guess if you aren't something for Yunli, and if you only have one break character that might not need it too much, then I would definitely go against this. It mainly does depend if you have one of the break characters that you may use, and if you are going for Yunli. If one or the other is not a thing for you, then I would not recommend this because, again, if you don't have a break character, this becomes kind of useless. And as I mentioned, the Soric set is very bad on anyone that isn't Yunli. And yet, that is how you go ahead and optimize these relic sets. Let me know which one you guys are going to be farming. Me personally, I'm definitely going to be doing this one right here because I need to get these pieces for Boothill, and I also got to get these pieces for Yunli. So that becomes a good set for me to do. Again, let me know what you guys are farming, and yep, peace out.